On September 17th, 2011, the Occupy movement began. It was the protesters, or the 99%, against the wealthy CEOs, being the 1%. They assembled in Zuccotti Park to protest the Wall Street CEOs. When protesters were interviewed, many would come off as hostile and unable to answer the simple question of why they were protesting. The real reason for the Occupy movement is to stop social and economic inequalities, greed, corruption, and corporations' influence on government. The 99% believe that the 1% who earns 17% of our nation's income has, quote-unquote, too much power and control over the country. Peter Schiff, an American investment broker, is a part of the 1% and decides to speak with the protesters to tell them not to blame all of the 1% for the economic problems.
But I am giving the government half of what I earn. You think they should take more?
I think we should get rid of the Bush tax cuts.
But that means I would be paying more than half of what I earn to government.
There's no way you can cut all the expenses you want without increasing revenue. There's no way to fix this problem.
If you raise my taxes, maybe I'll just decide to sell my business and fire 150 people. Why should I work for free?
If you've got 20,000 clients, you're doing much better than anyone else here.
But why should I? Do you think, wait, hold on.
You want to share your success.
Do you think I should work for you or for myself?
I'm like you. I'm an entrepreneur. I want you to work for yourself.
Right, but if the government...
But you started out with 2 clients before you had 20,000. You should want to help the next guy.
I am helping the next guy. I'm helping them. I'm helping my clients by giving them services that they want. I'm employing 150 people. How many people do you employ?
The lady arguing with him doesn't say anything after that. Schiff believes it is the Federal Reserve and the government's fault because they metaphorically poured the alcohol for the 1%, allowing them to get drunk off of it.
Meanwhile, also from New York, the largest anti-Wall Street rally since the credit crunch happened yesterday. Thousands of workers and trade union leaders marched in anger over lost jobs, ruined lives, and they're demanding answers from the source of who they believe is responsible, who's the source of the trouble, the banks. RT's Anastasia Churkina takes us to the streets of the Big Apple for more.
It's not every day New York becomes a sight like this. Traffic comes to a halt in the financial district as rallying crowds swamp the streets in the biggest anti-Wall Street demonstration since the U.S. was hit by an economic crisis. These thousands of people in New York City represent the millions all over the United States. What do all of them have in common? The feeling of outrage, a sentiment which has reached its peak in America. In a loud call for accountability, people want an end to the mess on Wall Street. Even 9-year-old Sam knows that something is not right.
They're just doing the reverse of Robin Hood. They're stealing from the poor who need all their things to live and giving it all to the rich. Makes no sense.
Because of the scams of Wall Street's fat cats, millions of Americans lost their homes. Millions more lost their jobs.
When the top 1% of wealth in this country controls political decisions, when the money that comes straight out of banks goes to bonuses instead of taking care of some of the problems that we need, and that same money goes to pay for the politicians that make those decisions, people should be damn annoyed.
Instead of bailing out the people, the U.S. government made the taxpayer foot the bill for the too-big-to-fail companies. Time went by, and no one was punished for creating the economic tsunami.
If I did that, if he did that, if he did that, we'd be in jail. All right? They call it a racket, a scam, and we'd be in jail. They got away with it, and they got bonuses to boot.
Just months after being kept afloat by common Americans, bankers again began spending hundreds of millions of dollars in bonuses.
We need good jobs and we need financial regulations to make sure that this never happens again.
All of this outrage is not making too many bankers bite their lips in shame. Record high cash is being spent on an army of lobbyists to make sure they work 24/7 in Washington to prevent financial reforms. And the financial district is going about business as usual.
Although the Occupy movement did not have much of a legislative effect, the protests spread quickly throughout the U.S., into Toronto, and all over Europe.